it is time for to watch the QAnon Shaman.
Oh hell yeah, let's throw it up.
Let me pull you over here real quick. Wait.
Hey, it's your machine. You're in control. You can pull me wherever you want, man.
Yep. Okay. Let's see. There we go. I'm gonna skip to the really juicy part because there's a good bit where he just talks about his religious beliefs, and it's a little bit weird and not as great content. All right. We're going to share the screen. All right. Let me know if you can see this.
One sec. Yep, we got split right down the middle on that one.
All right. All right, chat. Are you ready? We'll watch the opening, and then we will play a little bit more.
Sounds like a plan, dude.
Free call from
Jacob Chansley.
an incarcerated individual at Alexandria Detention Center. This call is not private. It will be recorded and may be monitored.
Oh, Drucifer, you and me both.
Glad
This
to
is
see
fucking
you guys.
wild.
You guys are fucking patriots. Look at this guy. He's got covered in blood. God bless you.
I got shot in the face. I got shot in the face with some kind of plastic bullet.
It's only a matter of time. Justice is coming. I'm not one to usually take pictures of myself, but in this case, I think I'm making an exception.
Jacob Chansley, the self-proclaimed QAnon shaman, has just been sentenced to 41 months in prison for his role in the January 6th Capitol riots. He was seen entering the Senate chamber with a spear.
To accept this free call, press 1. Thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now.
Hey man, how's it going?
All right, cool. Are we good?
Yeah, we're good. How you doing, man?
I'm doing okay, brother. I'm doing okay. You know, spent the last 20-something hours in a cell, so, you know, but at least I had something to work on.
Right. So for those who don't know, where are you at right now?
Oh, I am in Alexandria Detention Center in Alexandria, Virginia. I am sleeping on a 1.5-inch foam mat that is on top of a concrete slab every night, and that's pretty much where I'm sitting all day as well. I get 22 hours in my cell and 2 hours outside of my cell. There's no going outside or working out or anything like that. You know, this place can definitely take its toll on you. You know, it makes me think of the saying in Shawshank Redemption when Red said, in prison a man will do most anything to keep his mind occupied. Yeah, I know how that is.
Right. How would you describe the conditions of the jail that you're in right now?
Well, the conditions in Alexandria are, in the detention center, are not as bad as they were in, say, the D.C. jail. I've never experienced, like, real racism and prejudice in my life until I went to the D.C. jail.
This
there
is
was a
bad.
black woman from Nigeria that was like their nurse or their doctor that was examining me while I was fasting for 11 days because they weren't feeding me organic. She thought I was a racist and a white supremacist and all this crap because she believed what was on the mainstream Mockingbird media. And when I told her that I was not racist, that
The
I was not white
mainstream
supremacist
Mockingbird
whatsoever,
media.
and I've actually, you know, dated all sorts of women of all sorts of races. I have all sorts of friends of all sorts of races, and I said, I've even dated several black women. She said, I can't believe a black woman would ever date you. And I was like,
Yeah, I'm gonna let that speak for itself for just a moment. I love his black voice accent. Isn't it just fantastic?
It's indicative of what I've come to expect from this guy. it's right up the alley, you know, like wouldn't expect anything less at this point.
And I just love the defense. Oh, I'm not racist. I've dated plenty of black girls, and I have plenty of black friends.
Yeah, oldest trope in the book, right?
So I'm going to jump to the actually interesting part because he just talked about his religion for a bit.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
What catalyzed you to get involved in politics?
Well, that is a funny story. Let me start by saying that
I'll be right back. I'll let the video play though.
Cool.
a fish does not know that it's swimming in water, okay? And a sane person in an insane society will appear insane. So that being said, everything I'm about to say, I ask people to keep an open mind and an open heart and try and understand that, where I'm coming from is a place that is, from literally thousands of hours of research, and I'm a very skeptical and rational person, and the only way I'm ever going to believe anything is if I've seen it from more than one angle, and I've heard it from more than one source, and, dinged the little truth bell inside of my heart. So I always knew that DC was corrupt. And when I heard about Podesta's leaked emails to the public, I started to read them with a mild curiosity. Then I started to notice a very strange pattern in the emails and many of the other emails that were leaked, and how it involved most of the, like some of the most powerful DC moguls, like, Clintons and the Obamas and Bidens, and how it involved celebrities and international bankers, and the big picture became crystal clear. And it was not even a week or two later that the first Q drop appeared. All the research pointed to Q being the beginning of full disclosure. And I came to conclude that Q was involved at the highest levels of the military and the intelligence community, and that Q was involved with things like the deep underground military bases and black budget technologies and stuff like that, above top secret information. And ultimately, Q involved the warring factions of the deep state, what some people have called the alliance versus the cabal. And then what we were experiencing was kind of like a mind war, and this mind war over the minds of the populations would end up affecting the timelines that we created as a species, almost like hijacking our co-creative abilities, and that would determine the fate of humanity.
So what do you think the deep state wants for the fate of humanity? If they had their way and every sinister plot they are trying to arrange came true, what would our day-to-day life look like?
What they want is centralized power through corruption. They want to negate the three-branch checks and balances, three-branch government system, and maintain and expand the corrupt government bureaucracy. So they basically want no freedom, full totalitarian control. They want control and access to all of our biometric data, all of our medical records, all of our financial records, all of our personal data. They want to know all of it and control all of it. They want to make things like vaccines mandatory. There's no body autonomy, no free choice, chips in your hand type of thing. Think like communist China, except in the United States and all over the world. That is what the deep state is looking to do. And somebody may say, well, that won't happen in the United States. And I would say to those people, well, how far are we from 2 weeks to stop the spread? I think that COVID is proof that the corruption that we're dealing with is not just in the United States, but that it's global. I mean, vaccines are being used as an excuse to do all sorts of things. I think it's only a matter of time before they're used to round up and detain enemies of the New World Order or of the deep state. I mean, this is only killing less than 1% of the population. So I think that the ultimate end goal is to have a two-tiered slavery system where you have free-range slaves that are in the cities and they're being used as workhorses to create a large generation of tax revenue for these black budget operations. These people live in the cities. These people are monitored by the deep underground bases, by these classified technologies. These people in these cities are basically held hostage by the corrupt deep underground bases. And then there would be the FEMA camps, or the concentration camps, which, these things, believe it or not, may already exist. If you look into the way that certain Walmarts have been shut down and converted. I mean, the same stuff we're talking about happened in Nazi Germany. It happened in the USSR. It happened and is happening right now in communist China.
So where does trust fit into
Sweet Jesus, this guy is fucking nuts.
Well,
I'm sorry, you haven't heard the worst of it yet.
Oh boy. Yeah, he sounds like a QAnoner. He's jumped straight down that fucking rabbit hole. There's no coming back for him.
What do you think of him so far?
I was hoping that like maybe he would get like meds or something in jail to help him out because he does have some issues, like some mental health issues, and they discussed that, you know. So I was really hoping that he'd get some help and maybe like he'd kind of come to his senses a little bit. And it's like, dude, some people jump down the rabbit hole and just never fucking come back. And that's exactly what this looks like.
Well, here you go.
You know, that's a good question. That this whole idea of Pizzagate and the info that was dropped during Pizzagate was almost like a trial run. And it was conducted to disclose the truth to the public prior to the 2016 election. So the public knew what was really at stake, and people like Hillary Clinton couldn't get in. And the point is that Q was like the next step, I think, in the intel drops. And so after understanding what in the Q community is known as the Q clock, the way that the timestamps and the gap code work with the Q drops and how they all relate to Donald Trump's tweets and how there's a lot of the same verbiage in the tweets as well as in the drops, and they all, a lot of the time, they occur around the same exact time, and the way that certain messages are put out, you know, in time or in lockstep with his tweets and all that stuff. They were using numbers to communicate a much larger and broader message that if you put the puzzle pieces together, it made perfect sense. It seemed to me that Trump was a part of something a lot bigger. That Trump being at the helm in the presidency, he was a part of this faction within the military-industrial complex, within the quote-unquote deep state, the good guys that were trying to free humanity, and they were trying to get rid of this cabal that is essentially full of Marxists, fascists, and new world order types that are trying to enslave the population. So Trump, you know, he was tough on China, he was tough on Russia, he was tough on Iran. He was trying to create peace in the Middle East. You know, he released the JFK file. He created the Space Force. That was also during the Trump administration. There was a declassification of a zero-point energy engine and inertial propulsion or anti-gravity craft that the Navy put out there. Okay, I'll put it this way. Q is the only major movement in history, as far as I can tell, that is working to disclose the full truth about, say, government special access programs, top secret information and technologies, the truth about things like aliens or interdimensional beings and their role here on the planet. They're the only
He does realize that conspiracy theorists have been around
campaign that I've
for
seen
well
in history
beyond fucking Q.
Talking about like the breakaway.
Yeah, and also like the thing that comes to my mind is like WikiLeaks, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I was jumping down the conspiracy theory rabbit hole fucking 20 years ago, dude. Like, not like all the stuff they're talking about is nothing fucking new. It's the same old shit, and they're still rehashing it. The sad part is they don't even have any new fucking conspiracies. It's still this old ass same old shit. Alien reptiles are fucking living underground, running our government.
Have you heard about
are eating fucking baby adrenochrome to fucking live longer?
Okay.
You know, like this is all old hat shit that's been around forever, and that's what I think is funny. Is like it's never been fucking true, and for some reason it's like gaining traction. And it's like, you guys, you're fucking ridiculous, dude. Like you are fucking ridiculous. You know. I mean, I eat babies. I'm not going to lie about it. I do. I eat babies like every morning. They're called fucking eggs.
That's lame. I thought we were going to have some Chad talking about eating rich babies for a moment. That's that's my kind of shit, isn't it? I only drink the blood of rich babies. Let's be honest here.
Baby, the other white meat.
Civilization that has been created in these deep underground military bases. It's the only movement that is disclosing the truth about things like looking glass technology, the anti-gravity technology or inertial propulsion technology, how it relates to things like time travel and creating timelines, the way that we have like healing technologies or infinite energy devices, and how all this stuff relates to black budgets and to the endless amount of tax dollars that are being used to create this breakaway civilization. We procured over 1,500 Nazi scientists, doctors, and intelligence agents and brought them over here. We wiped their war records and their war crimes clean. We brought them into our government and put them some of the highest levels of power in our government bureaucracy during Operation Paperclip.
Right,
you know,
right.
Go ahead.
I was saying, like a lot of those things like are objectively true, right? Operation Paperclip was real. Operation Mockingbird was real. MK Ultra was also real. But do you think that the more intense stuff in the Q universe, like
Universe.
elite Democrats
Yes.
drinking children's blood, is also real?
Here's the thing about that.
Here's the thing about that. Oh shit, here we go.
For thousands of years, that has been something that has been practiced by elite groups in high levels of occultic power. Okay, in ancient Rome, in ancient Egypt,
Operation Paperbird.
okay, in ancient Babylon, in ancient Sumer. Okay, there were high levels of elites. Okay, and these individuals, what they would do is they would consume large amounts of psychoactive plants, and then they would do so at places like sacred sites, like the pyramids, or in temples, or near obelisks, or out in the desert, or in sacred sites, etc., etc. And when they consume these large amounts of psychoactive plants, they would have these out-of-body experiences where they communicated with interdimensional beings that were of like a higher dimensional realm in the frequencies
Sounds
of
like
light that are not
DMT.
perceived by the five senses.
It does.
Okay, and they would download large amounts of data in these higher dimensional data fields that in many cases would go beyond syntax or go beyond the use of words. And these individuals basically expanded their consciousness field to like cosmic levels of proportion and were able to digest these massive amounts of knowledge that most people don't even perceive because they're so busy being stuck in their bodies. Now, with all of that said, there's another faction within the ancient
Yeah, Storm,
Egyptian,
yeah, I agree. Penguins are
hierarchy,
controlling
and that would be
origami.
like the people that worship Set. And Set is like the ancient Egyptian form of Satan. Okay, so Satan worship and Saturn worship are one and the same thing. And so there was this ancient form of Saturn worship in ancient Egypt where what they would do is instead of consuming large amounts of psychoactive plants, which they did do on occasion, but what they did more than anything is they used things like, say, Hebrew children or children of slaves to do these satanic ceremonies of blood sacrifice. And the whole idea is that they terrified their victims to the point to where their victims had an out-of-body experience. And in this out-of-body experience, their body filled with adrenaline, okay? And as their body filled with a bunch of adrenaline, they would end up killing the victim, sacrificing them to Saturn.
There's no
okay?
fucking way.
And in the process, their
This
adrenal
guy's
blood
lost
would
his
be
fucking
drained
mind.
and poured into like a chalice or something like that. And when they drank,
I did want to say real quick, this is bad, right? However, I find this more reasonable to understand than Mr. Girl.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Well,
Hey yo, Turbo Jerko.
hey, Turbo Jerko, thanks for the subscribe. They subscribed for 3 months.
3 months.
Now. Rock and roll, sir. Much appreciated. Love you for that. We always appreciate you here on our streams. Anyways, let's paint ourselves a little more here. I want to see what
You're
else.
enjoying it. It gets worse.
I love the pain.
the blood, they were drinking something known as adrenochrome because once the adrenalized blood was hit with oxygen, it changed from adrenaline to adrenochrome. Okay, and if people don't believe that adrenochrome is real, all you got to do is watch Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Okay?
Yes,
Type in Fear and
because
Loathing in
Hunter
Las
S. Thompson
Adrenochrome,
was always
and you will see that
speaking
this is a very
in
real thing.
reality
that
in
you are
his
able to
books.
harvest this chemical, this adrenalized blood, and drink it or ingest it, and it will be like an intense psychedelic high. And these individuals would end up using this understanding that they had just for themselves and creating sort of like an elite group caste that kept everybody else marginalized and ruled. A lot of the time it was the same bloodlines that were moving from one empire to the other around the globe and erecting these empires based off of the same ritual magic. okay, and they would infiltrate the gene pools of certain ecosystems or certain nations, and then they would use these individuals as they.
I'm just saying, psychedelics are great,
They
man.
would use their
Psychedelics are
children
fucking great.
as like higher level people in power, whether it be making them king or making them a prince or a duke or a sultan or whatever. So this is something that has been going on for quite some time. I mean, if you look into, how similar one of the, I forgot his first name, but there was a certain Rockefeller that looks just like John Podesta.
Oh, I
John
love this
Podesta
part.
looks just like the singer from what's his name? From Lincoln Park. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on
I
his name.
love this part so
Chester
much.
Bennington.
Chester Bennington, thank you. Yeah, they all look like strikingly similar. Okay, Merkel in Germany looks just like Hitler. Barbara Bush looks just like Aleister Crowley. What we are talking about is like a 6,000-year-old death cult.
I love it so much. Isn't it so dumb?
I mean, he really educated himself on a bunch of bullshit. I mean, he's thoroughly educated on bullshit.
I wish I had the ability to research that well.
I know. He's done a miraculous job of filling his head with as much garbage as he possibly could.
It's like this. I really wonder, like, at this point, what does this man draw the line at? Like, okay, drinking baby blood, that's fine with me. Angela Merkel and Hitler look exactly the same. That's fine with me. The birds are owned by the bourgeoisie. Too far. You know, like, where do you draw the line at this point?
There isn't. This guy is so far down the rabbit hole. Like, and
were you ever this far down?
Not to where I was sitting there like, oh, well, this person looks like this historical person, which means they're in a death cult. I mean, you're taking some pretty fucking huge liberties to come to those kind of conclusions. You know what I mean? Like, you're really going out on a limb, man. Like, even I wasn't like that far out. I was like, man. I mean, my thing was 9/11. I felt like 9/11 was an inside job. That was like the biggest thing for me. That was like my big kind of like hang up. And I think a lot of people felt that way. But no, like some of the
I'm assuming do you still not believe that? What do you mean?
I don't know if anymore I think it was necessarily an inside job. I think there could either have been some gross negligence or a lack of like doing anything kind of intentionally, kind of like how we ended up getting into World War II, where we left the PM of Japan sitting outside Roosevelt's office for 5 days, you know, and then send him packing, you know.
I'm confused. This sounds like, is it not an inside job? No, I'm just kidding.
I think that once we saw it coming, I think there were people that saw opportunity in not acting fast enough, like almost deliberately. But I could be wrong. It could be gross negligence on the part of our like military and our, you know, Air Force and the people that are supposed to protect our skies. But you know,
as long as you're still okay with eating baby blood with me, we're good.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
All right. Hey, I can invite you to my Jewish space laser meeting if you'd like. We're having one next week.
You know, should I bring a kosher dish?
We're always prepared with the kosher dishes.
Okay. So I don't need to bring anything. Good. So I make sure. Because I don't have 2 fridges yet. I'm working on it.
Sacrificing children, like what was going on in Babylon and in the Canaanites, where they were sacrificing children to Baal and Moloch and all that stuff. Okay, there's international bankers that own whole economies. There are international bankers that own whole countries and whole economies, okay? And these individuals are able to control and corrupt whole institutions of government, of corporations, banking.
Right. So I just wanted to say, you know, I feel that when people talk about ritual murder and the satanic sacrifice of children, I think that raises a lot of red flags for people in terms of like anti-Semitism, because I mean people used what they call blood libel all throughout the 20th century to provide justifications for genocide, and it was kind of spread as propaganda because, you know,
saying that someone eats babies is like the worst thing you can say about someone. Pretty much, it's like if you lose all your friends. Like if people think you eat babies, like it's over for your career. And
Hey, Jason, I eat babies, but we're still friends, right?
Well, yeah, because I eat babies too. I told you I eat them every morning for breakfast. They're tasty.
All right. We're in good company then.
No big deal.
and social life.
Well, and I think it's important to note here, though, that first of all, you're absolutely right, and there have been many people that have been maligned and been demonized as dark occultists, and it turns out that they're not. There have been a lot of people that have taken the rap when they weren't doing any of these things. Like you said, it was just negative propaganda campaigns. But I also think it's important to note here that there's people that say, it's the Hebrews that are doing it, or it's the Satanists that are doing it, or whatever. What you got to keep in mind is that, first of all, real Hebrews would never do anything like that.
When you say they worship Saturn, are you talking about the planet?
Yes. Satan worship and Saturn worship are one and the same.
Is it just because they sound similar, or is there a connection?
No. We're talking people that understand the intricacies of astrology, interconnectivity, or what is called quantum entanglement in the quantum field.
This is the part that I find so dumb, right? Because this is the little bit that I have a little bit of context about, because I know a decent bit about Greek, Roman, and Egyptian mythology, right?
Mm-hmm.
Worshipping Saturn is not the same as worshipping Satan. Those are very different things.
Yeah.
Saturn is a very different figure in mythology.
Satan originated in Zoroastrianism.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't even a concept in early Judaism prior to their interaction with Zoroastrianism, from my understanding of it. I could be wrong about that.
And while I believe that Set isn't a great guy a lot of the time in Egyptian mythology, he's not the devil.
Yeah.
Very different figures.
Mm-hmm.
The devil would be a mix of two figures, which would be Set and Osiris. But neither are like an equivalent to Satan,
Yeah, exactly.
So he's made a lot of jumps and he hasn't done his research.
Or the way that electromagnetic fields are nested, and when you contribute certain energies to a certain electromagnetic field, there are certain effects that happen within the ecosystem or within the electromagnetic nested ball of yarn, shall we say.
Right. So I want to talk a little bit more about QAnon. So the mythology of QAnon was all about how this event was going to happen, and it was going to be called the Storm, which is basically when they stop the steal, they put Trump rightfully back in the White House, and then patriots take control of the country and disempower the deep state. But on December 8th, 2020, QAnon made its last post, which was just a YouTube link to the song We're Not Gonna Take It, We're Not Gonna Take It, and then pretty much went dark. And so it's I think it leaves a lot of people wondering, did the storm happen? What's up with the storm? Is it still coming? What's next?
Well, first of all, I think that we are in the midst of the storm with all of this COVID stuff. I think that we're in the midst of it right now. If you think about the damage that's being done to our economy, to our culture, to our national identity, to the truther movement, as it were. But I think that it's important that people realize that people now know about child and human trafficking, and they also know about the hundreds of deep underground military bases in the United States and all over the world. They also know about things like spiritual parasites and the way that psychic vampires play a role. They know about adrenochrome. They know about Bohemian Grove. They know about Jeffrey Epstein and his island and all the pedophile networks and the pedophile code. They know.
You said psychic vampires?
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what these Satanists are. Is they're like psychic vampires.
Okay.
They're like demonic possessed people. That's part of what black magic is you allow your body to be like a vessel for a demonic spirit. Okay. So People know about the deep state. They know about how blackmail is used in the deep state to cover up the crimes against humanity.
Sweet fucking
how
Jesus.
all these networks, the pedophile networks and the Mockingbird media is used to cover up
Mockingbird
the truth about
yeah.
breakaway civilization that's going on underneath our feet as we speak. People are being neuro-linguistically programmed with the truth. But unfortunately, the movement has become fragmented. There's people that infiltrate and spread disinformation.
Right. So I just want to go back to the storm a little bit. The 6th of January was supposed to be the storm, right?
Is that the case? I don't know.
I remember like in a lot of the flyers that I saw for the 6th beforehand, like that got sent to me, it was like the storm is coming, the 6th is the storm, because they're going to stop Congress from certifying Joe Biden, and then the 20th was supposed to be the storm, which was Inauguration Day, and I was actually in DC for Inauguration Day, and it was a military occupation in the streets. There was checkpoints on every street. You couldn't even walk around. There was hardly even a celebration crowd for Biden, and definitely not really an opposition crowd for Trump. I think a lot of people just got turned off from Q because they saw the goalpost just being moved, what felt like over and over again. And I was wondering if you felt like it's possible that QAnon may have been a psyop to delegitimize the truth about things like Operation Mockingbird and Operation Paperclip.
I think that there is going to be, in any sort of a truth movement, there's going to be infiltrators and disinformation agents. People have to understand that what we're dealing with is a new type of warfare. Okay, it's a new type of warfare. It's information and economic warfare, and I think that a lot of people are looking. They're missing the forest. They're missing the forest for the trees. Is that the saying? And the final battlefield for this global war that we're in is the mind. And I do not believe that Q is a tabloid straw man, because the movement was not in the tabloids until it began to supersede and threaten the Mockingbird media. And the truth is always rejected, resisted, despised, and demonized before it's accepted. So with that said, I think that we have to look at the wins. There's been lots of resignations, like Cuomo, the Cuomo brothers. All sorts of CNN producers are being proven to be pedos. The child trafficking is being exposed. The vax mandates are dead in the water. Omicron is probably going to create a massive global herd immunity without too much adverse side effects. Let's Go Brandon is taking over the entire nation.
Pretty wild, right?
He is living in a fantasy world. It's very apparent. I do feel bad for the guy in the sense that I think that he needs serious deprogramming. I look at like the QAnon thing as being akin to a cult.
I agree with you.
Like I think
akin to like Scientology type shit.
Yeah, like it's gonna take so fucking much to break these people away from this shit. Like, I even saw some shit. I forgot where I was watching it. It was a news program like a long time ago, where they actually had cult deprogrammers on, and they're like, "Yeah, it's at the point where like teaching people to like move away from QAnon is literally cult deprogramming. That's what it is at this point. It's that bad because they're that far bought into it." And I mean, they point out all the similarities of a cult, how it is controlling, even though there's not like direct hooks in you. There's shaming through media and the internet, which is where most of these people are fucking living, for their attentive needs. You know what I mean?
It's pretty wild.
So like you hurt them on the internet, and that's like hurting their real life, and then people get doxxed and shit like that. So they get brought in, they get tied into it, they get fed a total like series of lies and mistruths, but the people selling the fucking stories are convincing about it, right? Like You invest your time, money, and energy into it, no matter what the cost is on your personal, professional, or romantic life. I mean, this is cult shit 101, dude. Like, I mean, everything around it like points to that. You could view it in the same way that some people would view drug addiction.
Yeah, absolutely. I just got the Arminius Twitter follow.
Oh, nice.
At E Nosbol has now followed me with a lot of retweets of Haas Infrared.
Oh, Jesus.
Quite funny.
Now we know where he's from.
I
He's
wanted to
from the
mention
infrared community. What's
I
that?
have Twitch open, and I didn't know this, but you should absolutely do this. Aiko is a major smoker.
Oh, yeah?
Or a pot smoker. She is currently doing a stoned analysis of something.
Oh, I fucking love it.
You should absolutely get her on Stonercast if you can.
I'll shoot a message over to her, see if she wants to do it. Why not? That'd be fun.
That would be fantastic.
Especially if that would be like the first way that that I got to know her is just like having her on Stonercast. That'd be fucking great.
I think that would be fantastic. You should do it. And you have some decently sized people coming as well. So like Pirate Hempress probably legitimizes you to some extent to her, right?
I would hope. She was fun too. She was so nice. Like,
she was really nice.
Beer Bash is just like talking and talking. Everybody's just like, "All right, Bash," and she was so polite and just like chill about everything. I was like, "Damn it, dude! I want to have you on so you could talk more, though."
I need to talk to her sometime about anime because I have a feeling we have a lot of things in common. I know a lot more about anime than you do.
Oh yeah, you probably do. I mean, I know I watched like Akira, Ninja Scroll, like Fist of the North Star. Like I watched the old shit. Like that's shit I know.
So I would absolutely. I have not found enough people to talk about anime with on this site. It is cruel.
Yeah, I wish I knew more. I mean, I'm learning more now because my daughter's big into anime. Like she loves MHA, so I'm trying to get.
Have you seen all of it?
That. No, I'm actually trying to like get myself like I'm starting to go through them like right now, and I'm just like kind of learning who all the characters are and shit. Like, but it's really important to her, so I was like, okay, I'll get in and figure it out too, because I like cartoons. I love watching cartoons.
So. I did not like the most recent season. My Hero Academia, I liked it early on, and it's starting to lose me a little bit. But I'll probably write it out to the end because I've invested so much time in it already,
Right.
So it's like, I'll let it finish up. And Drucifer talking about the Demon Slayer train. I loved the first season and I loved the movie. I'm waiting for the second season to wrap up so I can watch it all in one day. That's how I usually like some anime. I will watch every week. Some I just need to binge all the way through.
I'm kind of the same way. It depends on what it is.
Like for example, and I'm gonna. I haven't talked about this on stream yet, even though I absolutely should. It's not my favorite, but it's I think my second favorite. One Piece probably will turn into the best story ever written.
And that's one I haven't seen either, so I need to check that out because I've heard about that quite a bit.
The reason that you probably haven't seen it is it has over 1,000 episodes.
Oh shit.
So, and it took a few months for me to get all the way through it. So I don't give anyone any slack for not watching it. But it is by far one of my favorites.
So what's the plot? What's it about?
It's pretty simple, but it gets way more complicated. the hero who's named Monkey D. Luffy set on his adventure to find the One Piece, which is a treasure that was left around by this like the king of the pirates from before. And
Okay.
his goal is to find his old treasure and reclaim uh to be the next pirate king. But it's often a lot more complicated than that because there isn't actually a lot of time spent searching for the One Piece. It's mainly about traveling to new islands where the main character and the crew, which are all built up of fantastic characters, mainly liberate islands and like save a shit ton of people.
Nice. Okay.
And I highly recommend it. And it is actually it has like really good commentary on it's pretty leftist, like as a show, I would say. Pretty anti-government, pretty anti like authority. Like that's the big thing that the show's about, being anti-authority a lot of the time.
I dig that.
And it is written by the one thing that I will say about it. It has the best like world that has ever been built, and it's a world that like feels real, right? So every character in the every character, even like the side characters, are like insanely written to a degree where it's crazy. And he has like over, like I'm pretty sure there are over 1,000 named characters in the show.
Oh, damn.
And it's pretty crazy. I shouldn't be talking about it, but it's the one show that I will absolutely watch once a week. That's also included now that the new season of Attack on Titan is airing. I will be watching that once a week as well. But One Piece is probably special to my heart. There's only one other show that I like more than it. So,
What's that?
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Okay.
And the only reason that I like that one more is because it's finished.
Right, so you can.
And it has
watch
the
it
benefit
over
of having being the best ending of all time. So there's a good chance that when One Piece finishes, it might become my favorite.
Very
Though
cool.
I still love Full Metal Alchemist. All right,
I dig it.
let's
Let's get back into this.
how much more of this do you really need to see, though? I feel we've kind of gone through the crazy parts. If you
Oh
want,
yeah, I don't know.
Can you handle it?
Yeah, I can handle a little bit more of it. I'm just getting high to it, you know, like.
Well, we have been going for 4 hours now, so we've met my goal. So let's get on.
I mean, that's, and of all places on college campuses where they were hoping to indoctrinate all these people to be Marxists. Parents are standing up to school boards, and CRT is dead in the water. Kyle Rittenhouse's acquittal was a huge win for the Second Amendment. I mean, for Christ's sake, Black Lives Matter and Trump supporters were marching against the vaccine mandates, for crying out loud. We are now going to have free speech alternatives to social media. Cancel culture is being canceled. People are realizing that woke is broke, man. You know, the world's waking up. Everybody's standing in solidarity together, bro. So it's going to take some time.
Bro.
That's just all there is to it. It's going to take some time. So I think that what people need to do, as opposed to being demoralized, is they need to pick a hill and have an indomitable will. They need to stop putting all their hopes in one person or in one group, because then their hope is so easily lost. You know, they need to be the change that they want to see in the world. You have to be the change you want to see. Fight with all your might. You know what I'm saying? But
Do you
Hear him quote Gandhi
are
is
you
so fucking
allowed
dumb.
to talk about?
Yeah, I love it so much. Isn't it so dumb?
I'm like, Jesus, dude. I think you missed the meaning, bruh.
It's so funny. It's so dumb.
He really thinks he's deep too. Like he is so convinced of
January
himself.
6th.
I'm not going to talk about that. I've been advised by my lawyers just to leave that situation alone.
Okay. Well, I guess. Do you feel like Trump should have done more to help you?
Well, I feel about Trump the way that I felt about him through the 4 years of his presidency. I mean, it's changed slightly with his support of these vaccines, but he took the deep state and the corrupt bureaucracy and the corrupt media on head-to-head. He went toe-to-toe with them, and he did that, I think, for the American people and for America in general. I think that took courage and strength. But there's other things where it's like, I look, he built the border wall went through a sacred Native American burial ground. They blew up a sacred Native American burial ground on the southern border of Arizona, just so they could put a wall through it. And to me, that's akin to blowing up a veteran's graveyard. I think Trump should have fired Fauci when he had the chance, as opposed to giving him the microphone, as opposed
Wait,
to
but what did
pushing
that have to do with the border wall?
Operation Warp Speed.
Border
is the
wall
greatest
was Trump's
achievement
thing.
of mankind.
Yeah, no, he's so we skipped the religious part of it, right? So he claims to be a Native American shaman, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's complaining about Trump at the moment, and he's saying why he doesn't like simp for him as hard as other QAnoners, even though he went to January 6th to get him.
Gotcha. Okay, I get it now.
He's just dumb.
Once again, and coming to your question, I think he could have and should have been there for more of the J6 people. I think he should have been more outspoken. In all honesty, I honestly think he should have given all the nonviolent offenders a pardon, personally. But at the same time, I try to understand his reasoning for all that, and I know that I don't know everything. And I have to respect and appreciate what it is that he has done for the American people, even if I don't always agree with him or see eye to eye.
Right. One thing I think about January 6th in the media, it's very strange to me that people took you, and in the media, especially right-wing media, made it seem like you were some sort of crisis actor hired by Antifa to make people look dumb.
All I can say is, for part of me was like, that's hilarious, because anybody that really knows me knows that's not true. Another part of me is like, okay, this is a perfect example of how it is that the truth gets smeared. The fact of the matter is, I'm not Antifa. I'm not Black Lives Matter. And the fact of the matter is, when I was marching at the Black Lives Matter and the Antifa protests in Phoenix, I wasn't marching with them. I was marching with the police. I'm a perfect example of how they neurolinguistically program people through the use of images, through the use of trigger words, and through the use of trigger images. And as far as I'm concerned,
Through
you need to be
images,
the
trigger
change that you
words,
want
and
to see in
trigger
the world.
images. Beautiful.
You need to be the one that's the leader. I think that if imagine this, for example.
He's a
We have
secret
a
agent in
capital in
MK
every
Ultra.
city, in every state, and in every country, all over the world. Imagine if every single person that was dedicated to the truth and to getting the truth out to the people met at their capital every single Saturday at noon. So this is our historical window of opportunity where we can all gather together, nonviolently at our local capitals, where we can organize by default. We can change the dialogue. We can, moralize by default. We can change our collective thought patterns by default. This idea of every Saturday at noon at your local capital, it organizes people by default. It changes.
Not only
the
that,
dialogue.
but it would take the stigma away from, pulling up to the Capitol. If we pulled up to the Capitol, our own capitals, every week, just like,
Exactly.
hey, we're here.
Exactly.
And then that
Think
way,
about the way. Oh, go ahead.
that way, you can't say, hey, they went to the Capitol, they're terrorists. You say, they went to the Capitol, that's what they're supposed to do. That's what we always do.
Right?
Jesus.
And think about how that would change the collective thought patterns. And think about this. Imagine if every Saturday at the Capitol at noon, people gathered together and they burned their vax cards, or they burned their vaccine passports, or they burned their masks.
I was curious your thoughts on this. Do you think he's being too nice to him?
I think he's, no, because I think here's what he's doing. He's just handing the dude the shovel and letting him dig his own grave,
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It's just like, if I was interviewing him, I would not be acting this way. This would not be how our interview would be going down.
The other thing is you got to remember, like, it's a comedic fucking like news source.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be kind of like memey. And
Trust me, I love Channel 5.
I think from this perspective, like, this is actually pretty legitimate, even though they're posing it in their normal Channel 5 way. And that's what I think is brilliant about it, because yes, you can laugh at it or you can see something serious, but either way, Callahan lets him go,
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to know what these people are fucking thinking, like that's one way to do it. You know, just let them go. You know.
So here's the real question: would you have him, the QAnon shaman, on Stonercast?
On Stonercast, I mean, if he got stoned, maybe.
Well, we skipped that section, but he talks about that he smokes a lot of weed.
Oh yeah, I might have him on.
What
But
would you talk about?
more in light of like what Andrew Callahan's doing, I just do it while I smoked weed. I just be so tell me about the reptile aliens. Explain
Do you
this
think
to
we
me.
could get him on?
Huh?
Do you think we could get him on?
Probably write to him in prison. I mean, he's gonna be there a while. I'm sure he's got nothing better to do.
Exactly. Should we try?
Why not? That should be funny as fuck, dude. He's from Arizona too.
You can be Arizona brothers.
No! Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
Jason and what's this guy's name? Fuck.
Smite and I just said make sure he's not banned on Twitch. Yeah, right?
Jake and Jelly.
How you doing tonight,
True
Smite Night?
Smite
We were
Night.
just talking about you.
Smite Night shows up every Wednesday show. It's beautiful.
Yes, he does. It's pretty fucking dope.
Speaking of Smite Night, we were talking about him earlier, and he didn't want, and he shows up now. Kind of fortuitous, isn't it?
It is. It is. We were talking about trying to get you on the Wednesday show at some point.
Yeah, we want to have you on at some point. Or I guess if you want to pop in now, it's fine with me. If you're interested, probably a little bit busy.